Hello again, amazing people. Thank you for joining me, your host, Jerome Craig, for another episode of Building Your Health Esteem. Today's episode is titled Kink and Kinetics. Stay tuned. All right, my friends, thank you for being here again. If you've been listening to the last several episodes, you know that I am working through a framework called Create Promise, and Promise is the acronym in there. And today's episode, we are focusing on the M in Promise, and M stands for movement. Now, if you just take a little time to look at your amazing human body, you'll notice that we have tons of joints, over 100 joints in your hands and feet alone. And where there are joints, there are muscles crossing those joints, and we have hundreds and hundreds of muscles in the body because the body is designed to move. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't move consistently, or should I say often enough, and this leads to poor health. Now, I'm using the word movement for a very, very specific reason, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I titled this Kink and Kinetics because it is obvious that we are a kinetic species. We are designed to move, and that movement has so many benefits to our overall health. We know that movement affects our quality of sleep. It actually helps our motor control, coordination, balance, circulation, balancing our blood lipids, taking care of inflammation. It's good for your heart. We know that it affects the way your motility through your gut works. It's good for sexual health. There's been studies linking more movement to better libido, the health of your offspring, your fertility. Of course, mental health plays a big part in this. Neurodegeneration, muscular strength, skeletal strength, and the list goes on. Movement is super, super important for our human health. Just that thinking about how our blood circulates through the body, how the lymph circulates because of movement, how we deliver oxygen to our tissues to remove waste product from our tissues. It's just amazing. We are a very, very kinetic species. Movement actually drives our health. I use the word movement specifically because exercise has become such a thing. There's so much baggage associated with it. It's almost like a dirty word for some people. And there's a lot of resistance. And my goal is always just to get people to move. Don't call it exercise. Don't sign up for an exercise class. You don't necessarily have to have a gym membership. You can do those things if you want. But movement throughout the day is key. Exercise is franchised and it's commercialized and very specialized. People are doing CrossFit over here, kettlebells over here, Orange Theory, yoga, and all of these things are really just movement. I feel that it's important that people choose something that they like because they'll stick to it. But it doesn't have to be 1 hour long. It doesn't have to be a class. It doesn't have to have fancy equipment. Just focus on using this amazing human body as our gym, our jungle gym. I am lucky enough that I've never had a quote-unquote desk job. I'm up fairly often throughout the day. And I know for others it's a little bit more of a challenge. And you've probably seen over the last decade or so, sitting is the new smoking thing based on the underwear studies. And through that study, we saw that even spending an hour a day exercising and then going to work and spending an 8-hour day sitting around didn't seem to give the participants of that study as much benefit as they thought. It appears that the body needs to actually move frequently and have bursts of energy throughout the day. So I'm inviting you to think about movement as medicine and think about how this helps your blood flow, oxygen delivery, especially to your brain. So when your body moves, your brain grooves. So I invite you to look at your pattern in life. Do you wake up, make coffee, sit down, drink coffee, get up, make breakfast, sit down, eat breakfast, get in the car, sit down, go to the office, sit down, stay seated for most of the day, come home, get on the couch, sit down, and then lie down in bed? Unfortunately, this is the biggest difference between our modern Western societies and other cultures around the world, especially if you look at the more ancestral health patterns and the hunter-gatherers, people who have to move around to actually get things done instead of sitting in front of a computer. So it doesn't have to be complicated. We can always start our day by just rotating our fingers and our wrists and then move into our elbows and our shoulders. We can rotate our head and our neck, create some movement through the spine, the hips, the knees, the ankles, whatever, just rotate them. And getting to that point often stimulates some blood flow and some release of some endorphins, perhaps, warms the tissues up, and you might feel inspired to do something else. And you can do some stretches, you can do some push-ups, you can do some squats. You have everything you need without going to the gym. Now, depending on your goals, you might want to push it a little harder, which I highly encourage you to do. But just think, it can be very, very simple. This amazing body needs your movement to work out those kinks. When you're aching from not moving, that's not a good thing. It's better to ache from moving than not moving. Look at a dog. Look at your kids. Everyone's twitchy. Everyone's moving. Everyone's stretching a lot of times. Cats, animals, we all do it. But as we mature into adult humans, we tend to not make this part of our lives. And it has some very detrimental effects. So I just want to leave you with this. Movement is absolutely medicine. We are a kinetic species. It's good for our muscles, our brains, our body, all of those things. And if we want to live a healthier, happier life, understand that movement is to be frequent and is definitely a major pillar of health. So do it more often. Don't make it a big thing. And join me next time as we start to wrap up this PROMISE acronym. We'll be talking about intimacy, then sustenance, and energy and expression. And then we'll move on to other exciting things, some guest speakers. And thank you once again for joining me. If you found this helpful, please share it with some friends. Feel free to rate or review this podcast, and you'll hear from me again very soon. Take care. Keep moving.